In this series, I'm going to... Good start. Very good start. Literally 20 seconds in, which is cool. In this series, I'm going to teach you how you go from a boring project file that looks like this and turn it into a full Liquid DNB track. One of my more popular videos recently was breaking down a song structure, and I got lots of lovely comments from your lovely selves, so I thought it probably makes sense to start there again. You know, drive that traffic, drive that engagement, build a community. What I've done is I've taken a really, really great song that I love by KUBLAI, and I've broken it down into all of its different instruments, as you can see here, and then we're going to talk about it. Yeah, this is an open forum for discussion, so yeah, I'm just going to get on with it. Here you can see that I've taken all of the different elements of this song and then built out ultimately the structure, right? So where do the drums come in, where do they go out, where do different pad elements come in, all of the vocals, all of the risers. And we call that the up-down group because sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down. So let's have a little listen to the song. Hopefully this isn't going to get flagged by YouTube because that'd be really uncool. Yeah, there's a lot of really, really cool things that's going on with this tune. So let's jump into it. So we'll start off with the drums. So the drums are pretty much the same throughout the whole tune, as you can see here. You've got these drums at the beginning, which have this kind of high pass decay, where it starts off really high pitch. So you'll hear it and then it decreases. So by the time that we get to here, it's kind of rumbling a little bit lower, right? And they've just got a slope that goes down, and we'll cover that. Don't you worry about that. And then we've also got some variation in sort of this bit before the drop. So you can hear it's probably got some more shakers and all that kind of stuff. And then finally what we've got before the drop is, well, first of all, it goes to, probably goes about there actually. It's got this low pass and it's got a whole load of reverb that is increasing. So you can hear. So what they're doing is they're decreasing the low pass or increasing it, and then they're increasing reverb. So by the time that it gets to this little no drum section, you got all this nice reverb that kind of throws you into the drop. So all that reverb has been built up over time, and it just sounds super duper fancy. Then you got the actual drums themselves, which are really simple. They're really wide in the mix, so like all of the shakers and the stuff up the top is really wide. They've got a nice kind of poppy snare, and that's the same drums that's used throughout the whole tune, right? Copy and paste job, easy. And then you've got these little drum fills with the EQ effect again. And then it's just the same drums again. First of all, the bass line that is used is the same bass line throughout the whole tune. So it's just this kind of Reese single note bass line. Hear a bit of like a woo, 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 woo. That's the same bass that's used throughout this whole song, but then what they've got is they've got these cool little bassy pops that come into it. Just a nice bit of variation, and that's only used, by the way, in two parts of the song. One of the really cool things that they do is they use the same elements, but they just use tiny amounts of it throughout the song. So you can see here that they've got like these bass pops that are just present in the first drop of each drop, or sorry, the second half of each first drop, if that makes sense. So this is drop number 1, This is drop number 2, and it's being played in the second part of that. They also do the same thing with a lot of the vocals as well. So they've got this cool vocoder that comes in, and it's only for tiny parts of it, but it means that you're not just kind of overdoing the instruments themselves. So first of all, we've got really 3 or 4 different pads and pad hits that are being used throughout this song. So the first one that we have is this kind of pad 1 long. So it's like a nice sustained key. And then we have the other pad that comes in. And you can hear that the filter's being opened up. But then this one disappears. So they're kind of like teasing the listener. Like that. Now it's going low. Oh, here. Reverb out and it's getting lower. Same pad that's being used. And then the other thing that they do throughout, they open up the pad auto filter here and they close it. So they're constantly using auto filters, right? So cutting out the high and the low end of different instruments to blend them into different parts of the song, which is a really easy thing to do. And we'll be doing a lot of that when we get into the making of this banger. The other thing that I really love about this tune, and it's a really simple thing that you, Isaac Simpson YT subscribers, because you subscribe, can do, is just use some really simple piano notes with echo, right? So listen to just how, first of all, simple this is, but how effective it is. You know what I mean? That's pretty simple stuff, but it's just ultra effective. So one of the things they're doing to be really clever is they're introducing sounds to highlight what the evolution of the pads is going to be. So this first pad, as you can see here, is only being introduced for a very small 2-bar section of the first bit of the first drop. That is then reintroduced in the last 4 bars, right? So this is the first 16 of the first drop. Right? So we've got a little introduction here, and then we've got a much bigger introduction here. Now, as that then begins to increase and take over, this hit is then decreased, right? So it's just evolved really nicely in these pads. Without all of them being needed to be played constantly at the same time, you kind of just like cross them over, right? Like that. I hope that makes sense. It makes sense in my brain. I think it's just a really cool trick that you guys can implement is if you have a sound that you want to introduce a little bit later on, just give them a little taste. You know what I mean? You don't have to give them everything at once. It goes starter, main, dessert. There's 3 separate courses. Yeah, not all at the same time. So know that. Now, the other thing that they're doing in the first part of this drop is they have this kind of like pad hit thing, which is just going doom, 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 doom. Another really cool thing that they do is how this is being matched with the risers and the impacts and something that I've called the shimmer. That left to right auto panned business. But what they're doing is they're using that as part of the impacts and the sweeps throughout the tune itself. So just here, for example. Yeah, I mean, this song is just so good. So that's how they're using this kind of the impacts and the rises, because it's going to add just some slight differences to kind of how this first drop sounds here versus how kind of the next phase where these pops come in sound. So there are some vocals that they're using where they're just vocals with so many effects on them that you can't really understand what they're saying, like this first one. But then we have these kind of proper vocals. And these vocal pops and vocal effects are used throughout. So once we're at the end of sort of the A part of this first drop, is all of this has been built up with these like pops and pads and all of that kind of thing. And then a lot of that gets removed so that it then creates space for these vocoders, right? So listen to these 2 bits here, then going into this bit here. So it's being restricted down, pushed down. And then another vocal comes in here. What they're then adding in is a variation of the first pad that then takes us home to Christmas into this breakdown section here. So this is the breakdown. Have a little listen, see how that sounds, shall we? Piano. So it's kind of like a wow. Wow, it sounds a bit like the first one, honestly. It's that I've actually just realized it's following the same note structure as the pop. So this pop where it's going pa pa sounds the same as, yeah, that sounds pretty nice. The other thing that they have going on is a sitar. I think it's a sitar. It's basically just a plucked instrument of some sort. And then that is then twinned in with the piano. So that keeps playing until we get to the breakdown. And what we're doing in the breakdown is we're just using the long pad, the piano, no vocals, and then basically a bass line that's been turned down. And then, of course, don't forget, you've also got all of your impacts and rises that are going throughout the whole of this tune. Now, when we then get to, this is the kind of this is like the build up, if you like. This is when we just then have the drums with effects that have been reapplied. Same drums as before. And you can hear that filters coming down or up, one of the others. Risers, shimmers, the variation pad. And no drums here. Vocal. So as you can see, whilst this song sounds really, really good and it really fills out the mix and it really is a beautiful song, it's very, very simple when you start breaking things down. And this is something I'd advise that you guys do, right? It just in your music production is take one of your favorite songs by your favorite producers, work out what are the different groups, and then just start mapping out tunes using MIDI clips, because it really helps to understand how these tunes are built, how they flow. And when you then start applying that to your own music, I mean, it just sounds awesome. So why would you not do that? Anyway, if you've liked this video, let me know by liking the video, If you've not subscribed, I mean, just subscribe. And yeah, I think that'll basically do it. So cheers, United.